Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future dives. Today, we're diving into a topic that's particularly relevant for those of you with an eye on international relations, especially anyone thinking about the UPSC exams.
Oh, absolutely. A must-know for aspiring diplomats and students of international relations.
We're going deep on ASEAN.
The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, yeah.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. ASEAN, another one of those acronyms. Snooze fest alert.
It does sound a little dry, doesn't it? But I think you'll find this one's anything but.
Right. This isn't just about cramming names and dates for an exam. This is about understanding a region that's home to, what is it, over 650 million people.
Something like that, yeah. And growing fast, economically, strategically, it's right at the heart of where things are changing globally.
Exactly. So understanding ASEAN is kind of like getting a sneak peek into the future of global power dynamics, wouldn't you say?
100%. And what's really fascinating is that ASEAN isn't just a trade bloc, like, say, the European Union.
Oh, yeah, totally. Way more nuanced, a lot more complex.
It's got this fascinating history and a really unique approach to regional cooperation.
All right, so let's rewind the clock a bit. Back to 1967.
Ooh, okay, setting the stage.
Picture this. Cold War's raging, Vietnam's in flames.
Yeah.
World's on edge, right?
Yeah, a lot of tension in the air.
And in this, super turbulent environment, you have five nations, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. They come together and decide, hey, let's form ASEAN.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable in itself, given everything going on at the time.
Right, all the historical baggage, the regional rivalries, and yet they chose cooperation.
It was a pretty bold move, driven by this shared desire for peace and stability.
Of course, they wanted economic progress, too.
Absolutely. I mean, they recognized that working together was the best way to create a more prosperous future for everyone.
And they didn't just talk about it. They took real steps to, solidify that commitment to cooperation. Like in 1995, they signed the Treaty on the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone.
Oh yeah, that was a big one. A strong statement about their commitment to regional peace.
It showed the world ASEAN was serious about security.
Definitely. Creating a stable and secure environment for all the member states.
And then, fast forward to 1997, they unveil Vision 2020.
Ah, yes, Vision 2020. That was a bold roadmap for closer integration and cooperation, wasn't it?
Super ambitious.
Yeah.
Like setting a destination for their journey.
A vision of Southeast Asia that was economically dynamic, socially progressive, and politically cohesive.
Exactly. And while Vision 2020 was ambitious, it gave them a framework.
Gave them something to work towards. It set goals for economic growth, social progress, regional security, all aimed at creating a more prosperous and harmonious Southeast Asia.
Now, ASEAN's membership didn't stay the same. Over the years, it expanded.
Right. They added Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia, bringing the total to 10 member states.
And this is where things get really interesting, especially for anyone studying international relations.
Oh, tell me more.
The Cold War ended, and we saw the emergence of a multipolar world.
Okay, yeah, the whole global landscape shifted.
And that created both new opportunities and challenges for ASEAN. Bringing in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, especially countries with communist backgrounds, signaled a real shift in their approach, wouldn't you say?
For sure. It showed their commitment to inclusivity, to engaging with countries across the political spectrum. It really is remarkable how they've not just survived, but thrived in a region that's seen so much conflict.
I know, right? It makes you wonder, what's their secret sauce? What's their approach to achieving this peace and prosperity?
Well, it's multifaceted, but I'd say it boils down to three main pillars: economic integration, social progress, and regional security.
Okay, so they want to create a dynamic and interconnected Southeast Asian economy, boost living standards across the board, and maintain a peaceful, stable region.
Exactly. It's all about lifting everyone up together.
Sounds great in theory, but how do they actually make it happen? It's not just wishful thinking, right?
Definitely not. They've got this framework they call the ASEAN community, built on those three pillars I mentioned.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's kind of like a blueprint for cooperation in all these different sectors. They've got the ASEAN economic community, the ASEAN sociocultural community, and the ASEAN political security community.
So it's like a three-pronged approach to regional integration, tackling economic, social, and security issues all at once.
Yeah, in a coordinated way.
Which is pretty smart. when you think about it,
Yeah.
especially considering the diverse interests of all the member states.
Oh, for sure. And they've made some really impressive progress, especially on the economic front.
Yeah, I've been reading about that.
Did you know that ASEAN collectively is like the sixth largest economy in the world?
Wait, really?
Bigger than the entire European Union.
Wow. Okay. That's a stat that'll wake you up in the morning. So for all of you aspiring economists out there, this is a region to watch closely.
Definitely. ASEAN's economic rise is a big deal.
Huge development in the global landscape.
Yeah.
But it can't all be sunshine and roses, right? Every region has its challenges. What are some of the hurdles ASEAN has to overcome?
Well, one of the biggest is navigating the rivalry between the United States and China.
Oh, right. You can't talk about geopolitics these days without mentioning that.
I know, it's everywhere. And Southeast Asia is a key battleground in this whole geopolitical contest.
Makes sense. Strategically important location.
Exactly. So ASEAN members often find themselves caught in the middle.
Like being in a tug of war between two superpowers, I can't imagine the pressure.
It's tough. One wrong move could really upset the balance and have serious consequences for the region.
For sure. Okay, so U.S.-China rivalry, that's a big one. What else?
Well, there's also the challenge of managing internal disputes and tensions.
Ah, right. Things can get messy within the group as well.
Yeah, things like border conflicts, ethnic tensions, arguments over water resources. They can easily flare up and destabilize the region.
Yeah, those internal issues can be just as tricky as the external pressures.
Absolutely. And then you've got the economic disparities. Not all ASEAN members are on the same level of development.
Right. Some countries are much further ahead than others.
Bridging that gap is going to be crucial for long-term stability and prosperity.
For sure. You need to make sure everyone benefits from the regional integration. So it's this constant balancing act, cooperation and competition, internal cohesion versus external pressures.
It's complex, that's for sure. A whole web of factors that ASEAN has to navigate.
Speaking of complex webs, what about India's relationship with ASEAN? That's been evolving pretty rapidly in recent years.
Oh yeah, definitely a relationship to watch. India sees ASEAN as a crucial partner in its Act East policy.
Act East. That's all about strengthening economic and strategic ties with the Indo-Pacific region.
Right, got it.
And it's not just talk. I mean, there's some pretty major projects in the works, like the Trilateral Highway connecting India, Myanmar, and Thailand, and the Caladan Multimodal Project, which is supposed to boost connectivity between India and Southeast Asia.
Yeah, those are big ones. And they're more than just infrastructure projects. They're about building those bridges of cooperation, fostering deeper economic and strategic partnerships.
So for our listeners who are following India's foreign policy closely, this is a key development. Act East is a clear signal that India is shifting its focus eastward.
Recognizing the growing importance of the Indo-Pacific region, and ASEAN is at the heart of that shift.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about ASEAN's history, their goals, the challenges they face, and India's growing engagement with the region. But the big question is, what's next for this dynamic group of nations? What does the future hold for ASEAN?
It really is fascinating to think about, isn't it? I mean, we've explored ASEAN's incredible journey, from its beginnings during the Cold War all the way to its rise as a major player on the world stage.
Yeah, they've come a long way. But I think what's even more interesting is that their story isn't over yet. It's still being written.
Oh, for sure. It's like they're standing at this crossroads facing all these new challenges and opportunities in the 21st century.
It's true. So what do you think? What does the future hold for ASEAN? What are some of the big trends, the potential scenarios that could shape where the region goes from here?
Well, I think one of the most significant factors is the evolving geopolitical landscape.
Okay, yeah. We can't ignore that. Things are shifting, that's for sure.
Right. You've got the rise of China, the changing role of the U.S. in the region, the increasing assertiveness of other powers like India.
It's like a giant game of chess with all these players making their moves.
Exactly. And ASEAN is right there in the middle of the board.
So they need to be smart about how they play the game.
Oh, absolutely. They have to be incredibly adept at navigating all these shifting alliances and competing interests, finding ways to maintain their own strategic autonomy while also deepening their engagement with major powers.
Sounds like a tough balancing act.
It is, but on the flip side, this also creates an opportunity for ASEAN to really step up and play a more proactive role.
Okay, interesting. How so?
They can be a bridge between competing powers, a platform for dialogue and cooperation, a voice for stability and prosperity in the region.
So it's not just about reacting to external pressures. It's about taking the initiative, shaping things themselves.
Exactly, setting the agenda for regional cooperation. Now, another major trend I think we need to talk about is the rapid pace of technological change.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Technology is changing everything these days.
It really is. We're talking about AI, automation, biotechnology, all these disruptive technologies that are transforming the world.
And that's particularly relevant for Southeast Asia, right?
Well, for sure. I mean, this is a region that's home to some of the fastest growing digital economies in the world.
So they're in a prime position to benefit from all this technological advancement.
Exactly. ASEAN has the potential to become a global hub for innovation.
That would be amazing. But I imagine there's some challenges that come with that too.
Oh, definitely. They'll need to address things like job displacement, data privacy, cybersecurity threats.
All the big questions that come with new technology.
Exactly. So it's about harnessing the power of technology while also mitigating the risks. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something that's especially relevant to our listeners in India, the growing relationship between India and ASEAN.
Right. We talked about India's Act East policy earlier. But I think it's worth emphasizing that this partnership goes beyond just economics and trade, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. There's a very strong security and strategic dimension to it as well.
So what are some of the shared interests driving this partnership?
Well, India and ASEAN have a lot of common concerns when it comes to things like maritime security, particularly in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea.
Right, that's a hot topic these days.
It is. And they also face similar challenges with things like terrorism, extremism, and transnational crime.
So there's this natural convergence of interests, pushing them closer together.
It makes sense. And, this partnership has the potential to really reshape the strategic landscape of the entire Indo-Pacific region.
So it's a pretty big deal. Now, before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to our listeners for a minute.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
Why should any of this matter to you? I mean, whether you're a student studying for the UPSC exams, a young professional interested in international relations, or just someone who wants to understand the world better, understanding ASEAN is crucial. For a few key reasons.
Couldn't agree more.
First of all, ASEAN's economic dynamism has global implications.
It really does. Their growth creates opportunities for businesses and investors all over the world.
Right. Expanding consumer markets, increasingly important role in global supply chains.
From a purely economic standpoint, ASEAN's success is intertwined with the global economy.
Totally. Second, ASEAN's strategic location and their role in maintaining stability in the region, those have some pretty significant security implications.
Oh, for sure. A peaceful and prosperous Southeast Asia is essential for global security and stability as a whole.
And finally, I think understanding ASEAN's unique approach to regional cooperation offers valuable lessons for other parts of the world.
I agree. The way they bridge those ideological divides, foster dialogue, build consensus, it's really a model for how countries can work together.
Yeah, it's inspiring, actually. So as we wrap up our deep dive into ASEAN, I want to leave you with this thought. ASEAN is a region on the move, a region that's shaping the future of Asia and the world. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep your eye on this dynamic and fascinating part of the world.
Absolutely. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future explorations. We'll see you next time.